Hey, what is up everyone? Pastor JAMZ here back with another review, and today we have another fan request by ICEY. Thank you for requesting Built for Whatever by T Grizzley. Um, and when it comes to T Grizzley, I've heard some of his music. I've mostly heard him through his features that he appears on other people's tracks. Does pretty well. I think he's great, and didn't even know that he was pretty young. 27-year-old rapper, singer, songwriter from Detroit, Michigan, and yeah, I didn't even know he came out with a project this year in March, which is Built for Whatever, and I thought it was really interesting and was pretty excited to hear what he has to offer. On a whopping 19 tracks and 53 minutes, Built for Whatever is essentially in itself a homage to himself, his humility, who he is as a person, where he came from, and who he wishes to be in the forthcoming future. Uh, so throughout the whole album, he essentially, I'm assuming he recently became a father, and throughout the whole album, he mentions about his children, and he wants to be a great father figure to his children. He kind of puts away his past and all the negative things that he surrounded himself in, the actions that he took that he doesn't really regret, but he does shed light that he did do what he had to do to get to the point where he is now. And not necessarily condoning any of those actions with other people, but he does condone people getting on their hustle and making it big and eventually becoming a great father figure of their own. And also, when it comes to production, it's also really interesting how he partakes in all of this, because the whole album essentially has, like these trap drums that are generic and you hear everywhere else, but he also likes to balance that out and bring on some new sound with like violins and not so much of like a orchestral violins, but something you'll probably hear like in a mellowed out song. Um, you hear pianos of different sounds. You even have like this spacious out like track with Big Sean, called "What We On." I think that's really good flow and sound for T Grizzley, especially if you're going to make an album like this. But don't get me wrong, the whole album isn't just being about a father figure. It's also about T Grizzley on where he comes from, and why he wants to change his ways and be a idol for his children. Um, Idol is not a good word. A role model, a good role model for his children. Um, Also, his features are really great. King Von got me by surprise. Really great chemistry between the two. Um, I wouldn't really say Quavo and Young Dolph came through on this one with "In My Feelings." Um, Not really getting what it is in that track. Yeah, kind of like a. I would say "In My Feelings" is a track that they had to put on, that he had to put on there, just maybe to get some like a radio hit or things of that nature, like a mainstream hit. Not saying that he's not mainstream already, but maybe like a track to get like more new listeners or something like that. But some of the hardest tracks come off of features that he has on there, like Never Fold with G Herbo. That track goes super hard. White Dior Tree with All Star Lee and Mew. And like I said, he has a track with Big Sean called "What We On." That's like, it's really spacious, kind of like a more ambient tone, and kind of coming down to earth, and more of like a life track. If that's something that you are interested in. Um, some of the other things that T Grizzly talks about is where he grew up in one of the poorest cities in the country, if not the poorest city in the country. Pretty rough environment. He had to do certain things just to get by. Yeah, they were not probably not the best course of action, but he had to do what he had to do. And looking back on it, maybe he would have probably done some things different. But he is where he is now if he didn't never done those things, he wouldn't be where he is today. And he's grateful and thankful for being where he is today. And he really just wants the best for people, not only his children, but he also mentions about his friends, the people who he grew up around, who are now possibly passed away, incarcerated, or not really living their best life now. He wants to see them grow and live their best life, get their hustle on, and accomplish great things like T Grizzly has. But then there's also a flip side to this album. He essentially in the middle of the album comes off as like, okay, sure, I'm being humble, and humility has been brought into my life, but don't test me, because if you test me, I'm going to snap, and it's not going to be pretty. He's going to protect whoever he has to protect at all costs. And I think that's really powerful coming from T Grizzly. Not everyone can say that, especially at his age. Um, Rappers who I see around his age are just talking about money, fame, and not really being thankful for what they accomplished, or who they're thankful for. Um, I think this is an interesting and change of pace for him and the rap game. I think that this album is definitely worth a listen. And if you're looking for something more positive, or if you're maybe going through something, if you yourself have recently partaken in like becoming a father, uh, this album will probably change your whole perspective on things, and probably encourage and influence positive things in your future. Or if you just need something positive in general, if you want to grind in a certain area, if you want to go back to school, if you want to make a YouTube channel, if you want to do anything and you feel so down, give this album a listen. It will really bring positivity to your life and encourage you to keep up your grind. And coming to the end, the only negative I have to say about this, the track "In My Feelings" and the track "High Speed," those two tracks, just didn't really feel them at all. Like I said, "In My Feelings" came off as like okay, we need to put a mainstream track on here with Quavo, and "High Speed" comes off as really weird. Just don't really. I get it; it's like a storytelling thing, but not really fitting with me. But coming to the end, I'm giving Built for Whatever by T Grizzly a 7.5. I think that's a great score. I think that everything does come together. Certainly a different album that I've heard, especially this year. Um, just a great concept, and I think everybody should give it a listen if they're looking for something more positive and influential. And that is the video. Thank you, Isaac, for making this request. And make sure you like, share, and subscribe with a friend. Peace and stay safe.